let's all have a bit of a laugh, shall we? Let's have a bit of a laugh. Because if there's one thing I do like to do in my content, it's dunk on Asstralis. I do like to dunk on them because I think they're a reprehensible organisation full of hypocrites and liars, and they are continually allowed to get away with these things. Why? Because they had a good team once, and that's all it really takes to get fans just, sucking your dick. It was Valentine's Day, and because esports is just influencer culture now, because it's garbage, what you have to do whenever there's a notable date is you have to get your social media manager to make a funny tweet in the hope it goes viral so you can get engagement, and you can say to the sponsors, look at all the people that retweeted and liked this tweet, and the sponsors go, oh, that's great, did any of them buy any of our products? And you go, well, no, because they're esports fans and they want it all for free all of the time and don't spend any money. And the sponsor goes, yay, let's have another 5-year contract. Garbage industry, right? But that's what you have to do. So everybody makes like fucked up TikToks now and tweets, and everybody was doing it on Valentine's Day. It was like, those stupid fake Valentine's cards, all of that, right? But Asstralis put out a TikTok. What they decided to do, sorry, my voice when I pitch next, it's so mental. What they decided to do was put out a TikTok that just seems to equate chat-up lines to sexual assault. What? Yeah. Come and have a look at the state of esports today. This was the TikTok. Top 3 CSGO pickup lines you can use on Valentine's Day. 1. Can I wall bang your double doors? I'll explain that one to you because, I'm a media student. Bang is a colloquial term to have sex. A wall is something that keeps your roof on. But you can have sex against a wall. So you can indeed have a wall bang if you want. But it's also something you do in the video game, isn't it? You shoot through the wall and you kill them on the other side. And you've wall banged you, right? And double doors. Well, double doors is in Dust 2, isn't it? And obviously that looks, I guess, a bit like a vulva. And so that's what they were going for with that one. Great, isn't it? Just to let you know, that chat line absolutely probably would get you a slap in the face. Speaking of someone who has occasionally laid some pipe, that's not helping anyone. Then 2, you look factory new. Okay, now factory new is a term in the video game CSGO for very good skins. But after I'm done, you will be battle scarred. Now, I don't know about you. I guess I'm out of touch. When I've had an enjoyable sexual coupling, I don't want to walk away from it with scars, Maybe 50 Shades of Grey is the norm now, but not for me. And also the kind of aggressive framing of it. After I'm done, you'll be battle scarred. There's a fucking really creepy, rapey vibe about that. Then 3, turn around, girl, 'cause I'm a flash and bang you. A flashbang is a projectile that's used in tactical combat to disorientate your opponents by creating a loud bang, which is super loud to the point it's deafening, and also a very bright flash of light, which will give you, optical impairment on a temporary basis. I've experienced a flashbang firsthand. It's not pleasant. Somebody threw one at me during a barbecue at an esports event. That's actually a legitimate thing that happened to me. Someone flashbang. We were having a barbecue in a shed. I used to have this crazy friend called TJ. He would just regularly turn up with weapons to like esports events, and he literally screamed "fire in the hole" through a flashbang, a combat flashbang. He got a military flashbang. I don't even know how he got it. Threw it into the shed. It just went off. Literally, that was how he introduced himself to the barbecue. Like, we're all just there, like, fuck, all of us are blind and deaf. So yeah, true, banter, classic esports banter in 2008 or whatever, Anyway, turn around, girl, because I'm a flash and bang you. The implication there is I will blind you and then begin my sexual coupling from behind while you're disoriented, which, of course, is also a creepy, rapey vibe, isn't it? Asstralis put that out, as you can see, on their official Asstralis TikTok, deleted it, tried to memory hole the whole thing. I hope we all agree, just to be sensible and mature for a moment, this is grotesquely inappropriate, isn't it? I also think, one of the problems women face in esports is obviously the over-sexualization, not just, where the games are constructed themselves, but I'm talking about even the professional scene for years had a real problem with, here's a professional female competitor, but we only talk about them in terms of how they look. And this happened, I witnessed this firsthand, as I've told this story before, but I remember being at it was an ESWC. It was the World Finals, and it was the women's team had finished SK game and had won, I think. A journalist unironically asked one of the runners-up and one of the winners would hug and kiss for him while he took a photo of it in a press conference, while a room full of morons all thought that was acceptable behaviour. And I'm just sat there like, is this the state of esports, So I think the women's game at the highest level has always had a problem with it. It never really knows what to do with it. For example, I've seen women's teams make calendars, where they're posing, I guess, sexualized poses, but, in clothes. And it's like, that's fine if it's the women's idea, but we'll never know if that's something some sweaty, greasy loser came up with as an idea and pressured the women into doing it, or if it was the women's idea of doing it as a form of empowerment and, leaning into enjoying the fact that they look nice. When you put things out like this, when you're a professional esports organization, you're really adding to that. You have a lot of early teenage followers and then adult followers, young adult followers that are very, sexually focused, very, sexually aggressive young men. And that doesn't make a pleasant environment for women to operate in the space. I was talking to a female friend of mine who works in the industry, and she's telling me, like it's ridiculous. Like every day I log on, it's a barrage of like dick pics. That shit's illegal. I just can't understand it. When you put out creepy tweets, I'll do you the service of saying creepy tweets like this, sexually aggressive tweets like content like this. It's not good. It's not creating a good space for women. It doesn't mean I've turned into an SJW, guys. Don't worry. I'm not going to start dyeing my scalp blue. But that is still that's a reality that women do face on the internet. And if you add to that, then you're not the good guys. I want to remind everybody, the reason it's particularly egregious, Asstralis have a women's roster, and they compete at ESL Impact. ESL Impact, of course, is one of those things where you have to sort of like take it with a grain of salt that it's a women's league funded by Saudi Arabia and certainly wouldn't be allowed to happen in an event in Riyadh. And that's also like this quantum state you have to enter into whenever you think about esports. But ESL Impact, as far as I'm concerned, if we were to remove it from that, it's a good initiative. And it has given the women's scene something to aspire to, and it has given the women's scene something to do, and it has given the women's scene some exposure. So, it's a W all round, apart from the fact that it's funded by, pure sexist evil. But you can see here that they said in their little statement, right? This is Asstralis CEO Anders Horsholt. They're all called Anders, aren't they? We have long worked with the idea of a women's team in Counter-Strike, and we have been in dialogue with ESL from the very beginning to support the creation of the best possible international women's league. It is only natural for Asstralis to want to be an active part of this development, which we want to push even further with our new team. Our values, yeah, we've seen the values, mate. We've seen what you think's acceptable content on your social media page. Our values are grounded in performing at our best and always developing, but also in embracing gaming at all levels, regardless of traditional distinctions, which is a bit of a strange statement, as if women's sports isn't traditional. Like, it's, been going on for well over a century, if not centuries, if we go right back. So it is traditional, but okay, whatever. Like, I was looking at the ESL Impact page, right? How can esports be the future if it still has one foot stuck in the past? What's the point of global gaming if not everyone's welcome to play? How long will we accept discrimination and toxicity as just a part of the game? Now, attitudes that are stuck in the past, that women are there to just be sexual gratification objects for men. Incredible, right? Wow. Richard Lewis saying something like this. It's almost as if he was never a bigot and it was all a lie. That is a very dated attitude. And there are some frightening connotations with that, particularly like in Britain, particularly concepts like conjugal rights laws. I mean, you want to talk about bodily autonomy. It wasn't a crime, for example, in, I want to say as late as like 84 in Britain for a husband to rape his wife. It's fucking insane. attitudes that are stuck in the past are definitely when you talk about women as if they're simply sex objects, like that TikTok did. What's the point of global gaming if, in fact, not everyone's welcome to play? You know, listen, women obviously have sexual autonomy as well. I'm not going to say there aren't women out there that might find, you know, being forthright and direct attractive in a man, or women that might want to be, you know, sexually promiscuous and engage in hookup culture, because I hate that fucking distinction where it's like it's a Chad thing to do if it's a man, but, oh, you know, if you're a woman and you have like 20 sexual partners, you're somehow, you know, low value in the marketplace of sex. I don't think that language is very welcoming either. I don't think that's very welcoming to women. Toxicity, I don't think you could have had a more toxic Valentine's Day piece of content if you'd actually tried. You're saying to the woman in the equation, afterwards you'll be scarred. Obviously, of course, because ESL will never penalise any of its partnered teams, despite the fact it explicitly has language in their agreements that any partner who brings them into disrepute, hilarious when you consider their ownership, can obviously face some sort of sanction within the league. But Asstralis and ESL are obviously very, very coup d'etat. They're one of the super important teams they have because they're the biggest team in Denmark. And so, obviously, no one's going to say anything about this. But let's also just say, it's kind of weird, isn't it, that you also have rules about player behaviour off the server at your events, which Config engaged in when he instigated violence in Malta. And you refuse to do anything about that, despite, again, there are player rules that you agree to. You agree to, when you're attending an event, even if you're not playing, even outside of it, to engage in good conduct. And he not only didn't do that in Malta, he didn't do that in Cologne as well. And that's been reported, and that was on Jackson. So it's weird, isn't it, that Asstralis keep getting this like little bit of favoritism. Like there's nothing they can do that's going to get them into trouble with ESL. One hand washes the other, I guess. Another aspect of this that makes it so patently ridiculous, it could truly only be esports. Why have they imposed those over devices' face? By the way, maybe don't put the players in there against their fucking will. Maybe don't put the fucking players there. Maybe the players don't want to be associated with this. I know them, and I'm going to say they would never speak like this to a woman. They are very mature professional people. And so for the players to be associated with this, I would be fucking livid. I would be livid if it was my face on that. I would be absolutely furious because it is your association. It is your image. And so I hope Asstralis have resolved that internally. But to do it to Device, of all people, this is someone who's just come back from a mental health break after a notorious, publicly discussed breakup. And you're going to fucking make him the face of, hey, what should we do on Valentine's Day, guys? Here's some sexually aggressive suggestions. Like, I can't fuck with this org. Like, I simply cannot understand how fucking deranged they are at all levels. Like, who thinks this is a good idea? Who sanctioned this? Because at an esports org, by the way, you understand there are like managerial levels. No one, unless your org is run unbelievably poorly, you don't just give a social media manager, here's the keys to a really popular social media platform, put out anything you want. You have to say ahead of time, it's Valentine's Day, we want to put some content out on Valentine's Day. What do you, have you got any funny memes, any ideas? And they go, oh yeah, I thought we could do this, and this. And then that person goes, okay, I'm going to send it up to the actual manager, probably our PR, communications manager, and get them to approve it. And they look at it and they go, yeah, that's great, let's put that out. And then the social media manager goes, are you sure? Okay, yeah, but... And they put it live. And I know that's the process at most functional esports organizations. And what's horrible about being a social media manager, by the way, is it's always you who gets fired. It's never the executive that told you it was okay. It's always the person who presses send that gets sent into, because you don't even know who they are. So you just go, we have fired the person that made this decision, and it's some intern on fucking minimum wage who had corporate approval to put out the horrible thing. Never take that job, by the way. Social media manager is like community manager is one of the most wretched, servile jobs you can do in any industry, let alone esports. So it gets better, guys. Because of course it does. Because it's esports. I don't know. A popular esports organisation putting out something like this while being affiliated with a women's only league and having a women's only team and being a representative of the GG for all movement, where you're meant to be pushing back at vitriolic male toxicity in the space, right? That's the whole premise of the initiative. It's just seemed to me to be worth discussing. But no, we can have 500 threads about Hooksy the Giga Chat. We can have that, but we can't discuss this on the subreddit. So clearly, someone at Asstralis must have back-channeled, because if you go to RevEdit, you can see what's being deleted. And you can see here, Asstralis said you deleted Valentines TikTok, Asstralis post deleted, removed by mod, removed by mod. And then you realise, oh, okay, well, there was a thread. It went to the front page. People were rightly disgusted, joking that it was, written by Hunden. Astralis' PR manager, who's already been critiqued. And the mods made the decision when it got to 105 comments, now, or 107, I think that's moderation messages now. But basically, they made the decision to delete this. You're not allowed to discuss this on that subreddit. This is the same subreddit where moderators are saying, please be civil to ESL when ESL make all their fuck-ups, probably secretly removing any critical threads about ESL. What's happened at the CSGO subreddit? Like, all the old school guys who used to run it, like, I think there was a guy called Hans I used to have on Steam. I think there was a guy called, like, Monzo, who fucking hates me for some reason. I don't know what I ever did to that cunt, but whatever. They basically can't be arsed anymore. But, like, every fucking garbage subreddit, no one wants to give it away because it might be used for self-enrichment, or or I just want to feel important on a fucking social media platform by being a glorified janitor. And so what ends up happening is they stop doing any moderation and they bring in young people who go, wow, a mod in my community, as if it's in any way, shape or form important. And they realize that after a few weeks, I'm just pressing delete on people being edgelords on the internet. This sucks. And so they start using it for like personal enrichment, getting to know people. We saw this with the League of Legends moderators. Remember, they're still doing the exact same model. I saw somebody tweet about it, removing perfectly valid content that people make, because what they want to do is they delete the content, then you reach out to them and they get to meet somebody important and lord it over you for 5 minutes. And they want to see if an important person will kiss their fucking ring, right? And basically agree, yes, please, but I think if you see it this way, my moderator, I think if you see it this way, could you please allow my content to be allowed? You make these monsters, you make demons out of these people, and now suddenly everyone who makes content in the scene, all the journalists, all the content creators, all the streamers, all the YouTubers, they all now have an extra fucking level of editorial tyranny they have to get through just to have their content seen by the community. That's the model, and I guarantee whoever removed this probably got contacted by Asstralis, maybe an Asstralis player, I don't know, or, basically was, or maybe they're a fan of Asstralis, and they were like, oh, yeah, I think we can remove this for non-pertinent reasons. And they do. And so Asstralis get away with another one because nobody's allowed to discuss this. HLTV won't have any discussion about it. We all know their fucking historic Asstralis bias, right? Hunden's girlfriend worked in there as like the person that brings in their partnership deals. So it's not getting discussed there either, guys. You're not allowed to discuss why one of the premier esports organizations will put out something that like grotesque about women on Valentine's Day and think it's appropriate. You're not allowed. Sorry, shut down. Because esports is a very grown-up and serious place. Just to show you how ridiculous it is, I always end on a joke. You know me. I pray for Asstralis. This is a tweet I got in response to me tweeting about this. I pray for Astralis' downfall every single day, but these low blows to them and EG need to stop becoming the norm among journalists that are rightfully trying to suffocate the org itself. This would fly under the radar if it wasn't a particular org. I mean, guys, you obviously don't know me. It can't all be dunking on Astralis. Like, they're pretty bad, but I wouldn't have much content. I'm trying to fix this industry for 20 years, and it just keeps getting worse. And, you just reply with, yes, truly it is the journalists that are to blame for these orgs continually fucking up. And he's like, it's fine. I still value all of your guys' work. But from my regular Joe point of view, it seems as if you and Mira are perceived a bit differently in the community for your respective Twitter takes / slip-ups, regardless of your seemingly flawless track record and integrity. That doesn't make me the dickhead. That makes the entire community a community of dickheads. Why would you attack somebody like Mira? Why would you attack somebody like me? Oh, what? Because, we've occasionally call it how it is. Oh, yeah, it's almost as if being a fan of anything is a chronic mental illness. I've realised now I'm phasing the word fan out of my vernacular. I'm getting rid of it. I'm no longer a fan of people, because when you are a fan of people, you're mentally ill. You're disturbed. You don't process reality in the right way. You believe that person or entity can do no wrong. That's what being a fan is. You even prioritize their well-being over your own. That you actually live vicariously through their success. That's being a fan, and those all sound like symptoms of mental illness to me. So I'm not a fan of anyone. I'm a supporter, or I respect their work or whatever, right? I'm a supporter if I give them money or a contribution in some way. That's the new hotness. That's where I'm going with that. I'm not a fan of anything. Fans are garbage. Fans are garbage. Any fan in anything is garbage. And so unfortunately, the community is just a collection of annoying, irritating, mostly teenage fan bases that all these corrupt cunts that run esports want to monetize. That's it. So yes, they do attack me for saying teams are bad. Why? Because they're fans of the team, and they will take up the fight against anyone who criticizes them, even when it's perfectly valid and adult criticism.